For me, the most overrated band of all time, by a considerable margin, are Oasis. They were hugely popular in the 90s and the early 2000s, riding a wave of Cool Britannia and Britpop. And yes, they had some good singles. But for me, it was like they were trying to be the Beatles. And they were like the Beatles, if you bought them from Poundland. A quick note for any Americans watching. Poundland is a chain of discount stores, in the same way that you have Dollar Tree. It just occurred to me that the way that Americans use the word pound compared to the way that the British use it, that's very different. So Poundland is a shop, not a whorehouse. But my main issue with Oasis wasn't even the music. It was how up themselves they were, particularly the Gallagher brothers. The biggest dickhead was Liam, the vocalist, who not only nicked the way he posed on stage from Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols, but he also used to walk around like he was the reincarnation of John Lennon. However, when Oasis split up, it transpired that Noel Gallagher, the guitarist, so obviously the talent within the band, when he was away from his toxic brother, and despite looking like a Thunderbird puppet that had become sentient, he's actually an intelligent and likeable chap. And he's recently shot up in my estimation after, during an interview for a Dutch radio station, he referred to attention-seeking non-binary weirdo and friend of the channel, Sam Smith, as, quote, a fucking idiot. During the interview, Noel had said the biggest problem with modern pop stars is there are so many fucking idiots. To which the presenter asked, like who? And Gallagher replied, Sam Smith. To which the presenter then asked, why is Sam Smith a fucking idiot? To which the former Oasis star replied, look at him. He does have a point. After all, this is Smith arriving at a recent award ceremony. No one of sound mind dresses like that. In fact, if you are dressed like that, you are a fucking idiot. Imagine seeing that walking towards you on the street. I would have one of two reactions. The first would be to call the police, to say, I believe an individual has escaped from somewhere, probably a secure facility. I don't want to know where that is, but arrest him and take him back. Or the other would be to call the Ministry of Defence, saying, just a heads up, put the army on standby, I believe the aliens have landed. It was inevitable that some overly sensitive types took to social media to complain. But weirdly, not about Noel Gallagher calling Sam Smith a fucking idiot. No, because he used the pronoun him, and Sam Smith non-binary. They use they-them pronouns. What world are we living in? Where you can F and blind at someone and that's fine, but if you refer to their actual biological gender, it's offensive. Thankfully though, I went through the comments on this story on several sites and almost everyone is backing Noel Gallagher. This pushback against woke ideology is continuing. Let's keep it going. Yet only a few days before this, another incident took place where Smith was misgendered. Except of course he wasn't, he's biologically male. But then Smith is the non-binary self-appointed, I was going to say king. King and or queen, delete as applicable. The mental gymnastics needed to keep up with this bullshit is mind-blowing. What had occurred was that Bob Geldof had appeared on the TV show This Morning and referred to Smith using he, him pronouns. Not only that, but the presenters, Phil and Holly, didn't correct him. So, some of the screamy people got on social media to complain about that. Now, I don't watch This Morning because I've got a fucking job. And the same thing occurred in this incident. Those that feel compelled to complain about everything were shot down in the comment section by anyone with a modicum of common sense. Because it was pointed out to them that Bob Geldof discussing Sam Smith was when they were recording whatever version of Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid it was, back when Smith wasn't non-binary and was using he, him pronouns. So back then, they were still a man. And not only that, but Bob Geldof wasn't on This Morning to talk about Sam fucking Smith. He was talking about Gary Roberts, his former bandmate in the Boomtown Rats, who's just died. Actually, I know this is out of character for me, but I will say, in that interview, some of the language used was bang out of order, unacceptable. It's not Bob Geldof, he's Sir Bob Geldof. The man's a knight. You may have gathered, I'm not a fan of Sam Smith. I don't think he's a bad person or they're a bad person. It's just that they continue to generate these ridiculous news stories in a desperate attempt to remain relevant. And if you're watching this, if you're non-binary and you use they-them pronouns, that is absolutely fine. You do you. The problem arises when you expect everyone else to go along with it. I'll finish this video with an example from my own life which happened very, very recently. Now, I'm all for live and let live. You do you. If you're not hurting anyone, that's absolutely fine. So I was in the supermarket with my shopping list because I'm old school, and 2 trans women walked past. Now, that's fine. I went, oh yeah, trans women, not hurting anyone. It does confuse me why so many trans women dressed like the 1950s have come round again. Why they're trying to look like Doris fucking Day. But anyway, they've stopped, and you know, David Williams and Matt Lucas, big ladies, they're doing their thing. I'm minding my own business. Then one of them turns around, looks at me and insinuates that I was checking them out. Now, I could have left it, and I didn't need to be as cruel as I was. But she, I'll be nice, was casting aspersions against my good name, implying that I'm some sort of pervert, in a voice loud enough that everyone in the fucking West Midlands must have heard it. So I responded. I'll say again, I did nothing to get dragged into this sordid fantasy, whatever was going on inside the skull of this trans woman. So I said this: I am not checking you out because I am heterosexual and you are a man. And then the trans woman's lips started to wobble. And as I turned to leave, hearing a trans woman breaking down in tears behind me for having facts pointed out, her companion shouted after me, "You didn't need to make her cry." And I didn't need to say this, but I replied, he started it. Like I said, you do you, don't drag the rest of society into it. As ever, thanks for watching.